I want you to give me your top 5 possible boxing crossover matchups. Now, what I mean by that is
set the parameters here.
Okay, so what I mean by that is you could bring in former MMA fighter. You could bring in a Jake Paul type.
Or retired boxer.
Retired boxer type. Anybody who is kind of playing in that space. And we're talking about fights that if maybe they can't be made now, they could be made next year. Nothing like, 2030, we can make something. We're not looking that far ahead. We're kind of looking what could be made right now or in the relatively near future.
All right.
Give me 5 fights. Go 5-1.
I want to get your reaction after each one. Here we go.
Here we go. Brian Campbell's top 5.
All right, number 5. I don't necessarily love this fight, but I can't look away from what the spectacle it could bring. I'm going to go Logan Paul versus Jake Paul, which I do think is something that they will inevitably do. And I think, Luke, it is going to command so much car crash attention. And yes, it has ways it could go so wrong, and I don't even know what it would look like. But there's that weird part of me that's like, okay, I'm in. I'll put my money down. I'll watch that. I know you hate that fight. But brother versus brother.
First of all, our fans are probably going to kill us for this segment.
Yes, they
number
will.
1. And then number 2, I hate that fight.
Okay, but does it kill numbers-wise? Does it commercially just attract the attention?
If you lost your 401k in crypto scams.
Oh, speaking of crypto scams. Brought to you by Make America Great Again.
Again. I'm like,
you.
dude, that's the biggest shit coin on planet Earth. But
Good
okay.
Lord.
Neither here nor there. I don't have even the slightest fucking... I just don't care about that fucking fight.
I can't avoid it, and I had to put it on there. That's number 5.
All right.
Number 4, I want an action fight, and as Jorge rebuilt his brand, you're damn right. You ready for this? Jorge Masvidal versus Mike Perry, I think absolutely bangs in a boxing ring.
I like it. I can dig that one. Who do you think wins? Give me the odds on that one.
I think Jorge. And look, you and I are both starting to come around to the idea that we love Mike Perry in this Jake fight. It's at 200 pounds, isn't it?
It is. It's a cruiserweight contest.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Jorge fight could be more competitive and just be straight action. I think Jorge.
Also, we haven't seen Mike Perry
in a boxing ring in a long time.
Right,
he did one pro fight way back in the day.
Yeah. But, anytime soon, recently, rather.
All right, number 3. Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo, part 2. What do you think?
Holy shit. Wow.
Because I am of that belief that I've been
what
waiting.
Weight? 55, 60?
So Aldo's been boxing at what? He fought Jeremy Stevens. He fought a couple people. He's been boxing probably around the 150 area, right?
Well, I mean, he's been MMA fighting at 135.
That's a good point on there. I think you got to find a catch weight that Conor can still make. I just feel like I've always wanted to see Aldo get that chance at that rematch. And I still felt bad that he never got that chance because of how quickly that fight ended and all of that. I felt like it should have come around again. Conor hasn't been active or whatever. I would be intrigued by that. I actually would. Jose's a good boxer. I know there's that size difference now. They're not 145ers anymore, but I still think that's kind of interesting.
That's a left field one I did not see coming. I don't know if you could do it because of the weight at this point. And also, you're really taking away what makes you're accentuating what Conor's good at, and you're taking away a lot of what Jose is good at.
That is a fair counter. That is a very fair.
However, as a item that people would pay money to see, not a bad choice.
Okay, number 2. And I'm wondering if this is possible, given what we talked about heading into Masvidal Diaz 2, what could be available for Jorge. Floyd Mayweather versus Nate Diaz, I am talking myself into here. I can't believe I am. But what do you think about that fight at this point?
Man.
Size difference, yes.
Major
right?
size difference. I can't tell if Floyd is he washed to the point where he can only beat the YouTubers, or can he beat someone who is still?
Because don't forget, after the Logan Paul fight, and that was a massive size difference.
Yes.
Do you remember Floyd was humble in that post-fight interview? Was like, I'm done with this. Like, this is my last.
Yeah,
fight.
I'm just gonna fight donks.
But then he has fought donks. He's got John Gotti III coming up in August in Mexico for whatever that's worth. But if you're Floyd, he seems to still want the attention. There's always going to be the rumors that for all the dollars he's made, does he still need money? I don't know. That is interesting. If Nate Bigger is going to spam him, obviously Floyd's going to be able to counter and keep that distance, but I wonder what that looks like.
Floyd would make him weight drain. We know that from boxing generally. It would be big.
It would be big. That's the thing. And that would be Diaz as the ultimate babyface in that matchup.
Yeah. Also, MMA fans are still dying for Floyd to get his comeuppance.
I know.
For Diaz to deliver that in that particular way would, especially in boxing.
Do you think Fan Mio is considering that? Because there was talk from Masvidal and his management
I don't
team.
think no one picked up on this. I don't think Floyd was there by accident. You could say, oh, he was there for Carmel Mutan. Yes, he was, of course. That's true. But he was at the analyst desk for a little while.
Yes.
And he was a big celebrity, but there were other big celebrities there too. I think that they've got their eyes on him.
Don't forget, Fan Mio was the promoter for Floyd versus Logan.
There you go.
There you go.
Even better. All right, keep going.
All right, final one. And I really toyed with this because I'm like, can I get Poetan into a fight? Can I do what?
Anthony Joshua looks like he's hunting for one.
I went back to the grain here. I went back to what I like. People hate this probably.
Asa Akira versus who?
Oh, Rocco. No, I mean, that's a crossover matchup. I've been waiting
he's the intergender champion if ever there was one.
Peter North could be the referee. Luke, Conor McGregor versus GSP. I still want that in a boxing match.
What?
Dude, that's still a great idea. GSP's got the jab. He's in great shape. He's a Freddie Roach trained. He's a legitimate MMA boxer. Dude, come on. Conor plays the villain role in that build, and it's the returning hero of GSP. Yeah, I know GSP can say what he wants. I know, obviously, he's living the lifestyle. He's going to be in shape the rest of his life. But he's in insane shape all the time, right? Just in case. Dude, I think that's a killer fight.
It would do gangbusters. It would be fucking huge. Where would you put a fight like that? Vegas? New York City?
They're not going to, the taxes in New York City. That's why the big fights don't go to New York City. Like really big fights. Like big fights go there, not really big fights.
You get the Canadians to travel for GSP if you went to New York City.
What if we do it in the Sky Dome, Luke? The Rogers Center.
In Toronto?
Yeah, no, they're not doing that. I don't care where you put it. I want that. I want that fight.
That's not a bad one. All right. Nocita, which of those did you like the most?
You got to give me the list again.
Oh, you're just out there fucking playing mahjong.
Let's go to your list, Luke. Let's do it.
Here we go. For my list. All right. These are in particular order. Okay. Number 5. Mike Perry versus Darren Till. Not the biggest names relative to a Floyd, relative to a Diaz.
And we'll get into Darren Till's boxing match later in the show. Yeah.
But I kind of feel like the promotion for that would be reckless to the point of stupid but fun. And the fight itself would actually be angry. You know what I mean?
It would be. I don't love Darren Till.
Neither do I. But
I'm not kicking this out of bed. Yeah, I'm into that.
All right, very good. For my number 4 choice.
By the way, Stephen Thompson beat Darren Till, and no one wants to talk about that anymore. Let's move on.
I know it was a very terrible fight, though. That was the problem. All right, that's number 5. My number 4 choice, BC. How about Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal 3 or 2 in boxing? There is controversy.
That's a good question. Yeah.
There is controversy about what happened. I don't know if there's like a gigantic demand for it, but I actually feel like
movies, sequels, rematches typically have a diminishing effect in terms of gate, right? Unless the first fight surprised everybody and suddenly there's like this grudge match in the rematch. How big could this fight? It wouldn't be as big as this one just was.
No.
But would the returning audience, if packaged properly and promoted properly, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you have to have a strong co-main.
You do. Yeah, you do.
Strong co-main. If you had Jake Paul wouldn't be in the co-main, but you could put this in the co-main on a Jake Paul card. Again, they wouldn't do it, but something like that would make it count. But I do think that there is still interest in it for sure. All right. Number 3. How about Jake Paul versus Diaz 2?
I mean, there's
you don't think the fans want to see, again, I'm talking about like personal interest, whatever, but you don't think the fans want to see Nate get that one back?
I do. See, here's the thing.
You just don't see you don't think it's competitive?
Nate showed us, in my opinion, in this fight that if he takes it seriously and gets in super shape, there's still something there. I do think that fight could be different. But what about and Jake was tweeting about it all weekend, what about the money for the potential PFL fight that Nate has turned down?
Who gives a fuck?
Is Nate just not entertaining that because he wants to stay a UFC guy to get those big paydays?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the $15 million offer looks like and what the parameters of it are. I think if there really was $15 million on the line and it was just for beating Jake Paul, he would have done it already. Probably that's not real, or a big part of it's not real. Do you think
if Jake didn't have 2 fights lined up right now, that might actually be the fight that they would do next?
Probably.
Yeah, it would sell.
Probably.
It would sell more than the first.
Yes.
It would.
Again, I think you have to match make that one correctly down the card. All right, so that's 3. Number 4. Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul in boxing. Again, is this what I want to see out of Conor McGregor? I'm not necessarily suggesting that, but we're building like what the biggest ones are. This is a big one. Conor
I don't know
McGregor
why I don't love that fight at all. No, Sayeda said that's his. Long Island Luke said that's his number one.
That's your number one?
I think that'll do the biggest numbers. It's not my personal number.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, I mean, all of these fights are kind of silly, right? Or to a degree.
That's what this space is, but it's also entertaining.
Yeah. So we're asking, like, which ones would do really well? I just think that this one would fucking kill. I do.
It would kill.
Especially if Jake Paul goes in. I mean, okay.
What about the size? What about the
we
size
have,
difference?
we have to wrap our heads around something. We would probably cry, but if Jake Paul absolutely fucking sleeps Mike Tyson, which I cannot believe those words are coming out of my mouth.
I don't think it would be a sleep. I think it would be like a sad stoppage, like just beating on him. Right?
Let's say he does what he did to Tyron Woodley against him.
Oh, God.
And now Conor's 2 fights done. He's out. He doesn't re-sign. That's not a big fight?
Oh, it's
a fucking massive
First of all,
fight.
Conor versus anyone is massive. So,
but Jake Paul off of that.
I just feel like Jake Paul's too big. All right, I'd be in. I just don't love that one compared to the other ones. But
all right. Now, the next one, and my last one, is you could sub in Floyd for a bunch of different ones of these, but I'm going to leave him out. The last one I'm going to say is...
This is your number one, by the way. So don't say
this is my number one.
Yeah.
I don't know if the UFC is going to make this one. So in the event that they don't, you could easily do, in boxing, Diaz-McGregor 3. Or McGregor-Diaz 3.
You could, but would the audience be so upset that it's not MMA? That's
okay, but if they can't make it in the UFC for whatever reason, right? Yeah, I mean, that fight should only be in MMA, okay? But for whatever reason, these guys don't get to the UFC at the same time. You can't make it. Now they're both free agents.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Are you really going to say, as an MMA fan, I'd rather see nothing than what you just saw Jorge and Nate honestly give you a pretty decent effort, a very commendable effort. You would turn that down over nothing? When the choice is nothing or that?
The build would be incredible.
It'd be
I don't care if they're
insane.
arm wrestling or power slapping. The build would be incredible. By the way, Mauro Ranallo asking Sean O'Malley on the air if he's interested in power slapping, and Sean was like, fuck that. Basically. Like, I was like, yeah, O'Malley, yeah.
New York Times killing power slap over the weekend, too.
Also, O'Malley, when asked by Mauro, is he going to fight Merab next and come back, he said, hoping for the sphere, but like, can't guarantee it. Hoping, pushing for it.
I don't understand what's so hard about booking that card.
I don't know what's so hard about booking Sean versus Merab. Like, book it already. Like, that's the fight to make. It's one of the top 5 best fights I can make right now, right?
Yes.
So make it.
Yes, it is.
Make it. Let's go.
All right, those are our top 5. You can kill us on Reddit for us. There we go.
They will. Our hardcore MMA fans hate today's episode.
Yeah, they hate it. But I mean, what do you want us to talk about? Like, we'll get to UFC Denver here in a minute, but there's just not a lot.